Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here at the Bentonville Film Festival, the 10th anniversary. We're so excited to have you, and we're going to talk about the film Adjunct today. I have had the pleasure of watching this movie, but for the viewing audience at home who haven't seen it yet, can you please tell them a little bit about the piece?
Yeah, so Adjunct chronicles basically Amr, our lead, who is basically an adjunct professor, and he's trying to get a full-time job at the college he works at, and basically gets passed over and has to really look to himself and realize is this the right place for me to be in my life? He's getting older. He's just really kind of trying to figure out what his life is and what the future of it, what his future could be.
Excellent. At the start of the film, I'm going to give just a little bit of information.
Sure.
We have you in front of a green screen talking about writing what you know. Tell us a little bit about what you know for being able to write this piece.
Sure. So I was an adjunct professor for many years, and one of my classes that I would teach would be intro to screenwriting. I also did advanced screenwriting, but something that I would always tell my students is write what you know, which is almost like a cliche, but it's so true, and I think you can really tell the most honest stories. And so there's a little bit of meta in the movie where I'm basically telling the students to write what they know, and I'm actually writing what I know and making a film that is basically that.
With wearing so many hats in the project, did you find that had any kind of impact on your ability when you were acting on the screen?
It was very challenging to kind of wear so many hats. I just had a great team, as you can see here, supporting me and getting me through it. And I did a short film called Pretend Partners a couple years earlier, where I co-wrote, I directed, and I acted, and it was actually a very fun experience. And so I thought to myself, I could possibly do it in a feature form, and I was I think I kind of bit off a little more than I could chew, and it was quite a bit harder to do the feature, just a much bigger thing to maneuver, and it was honestly really challenging. And again, I really leaned a lot on these guys, on my friends, on my family. The movie is a bunch of people that I have worked with for years, but also my family is in the movie. It's just a lot of people who I've known for years just coming to help me to make, this is my first feature, so it was really a family and friends affair.
And I liked the interactions with the family. I mean, I was able to tie into, my family's not that big, but when I go to a family reunion, it is that big. So it was able to see crossing some barriers and seeing that families really are alike. And I appreciated that you had that in there. You also have a bit of what it's like to date a little older in your life, a little more set in your ways. How was that for you, being able to do those scenes?
I mean, specifically the dating scenes, or?
Yeah, because sometimes dating's kind of awkward to do when you're in your 20s, and no offense, but you and I are not in our 20s anymore.
Right. Very true. Very true. Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of it parallels, again, my life in the way of as I've gotten older and I haven't gotten married, and sort of trying to sort of figure that out and how to navigate that. And it's definitely a thing where I'm a Middle Eastern person, and my family, when you're younger, they're when are you getting married, and now that I've gotten older, they're I don't know if he's gonna get married. And so it's this funny thing, and I think it's part of the story because it's part of my life in terms of I find that to be a very in the Middle Eastern culture, when you're dating, it's sort of are you too old now? Has that moment sort of passed you by? And I think that's something I wanted to touch on in the movie, just because it is part of my life. And again, I just leaned in really hard on things that have happened to me and experiences I've had.
Good. Andrew, let's talk to you a little bit.
All right.
On your experience with this film, what is one thing you're going to take away that just has stuck with you for this experience that you wish you had known sooner could happen?
I feel I will speak on how it started, and I think the biggest takeaway for me is just like the people we have worked with since the beginning. We've made shorts together, and so this was a dream come true in the sense of like being able to work with the same like creatives and to see that magic of all of us like continuing to grow as filmmakers. And I think that was so special for us, and just to have that support, because this was a longer process of us making the film. We shot a proof of concept first, which actually makes it into the movie, and then we kept going. Like we found some confidence. We saw like how it was being received, and then from there we started the main shooting in June, and then continued to work on it. And so I think the other takeaway too is because we were working on it together, and we had that trust, we were able to like screen it and then make edits and then even go and like reshoot and do some pickups to make it a stronger film. And so I think that was a big lesson for me throughout this experience. Thank you.
Thank you. And Benjamin, we're going to ask you, how did you all meet?
That's a great question. We met, is it 10 years ago?
Yeah,
at this point?
Maybe a little more than 10.
Probably longer. I was a student at a local university down in Southern California that Ron was teaching at, and he put on a master class in independent filmmaking. And Ron had a reputation of being like, oh yeah, it's Ron Nager. He's a filmmaker. He's played these big festivals. And it was exciting for me when I heard he was putting this master class on, and I showed up and kissed your ass probably, and was easily your best student. I can say that. And so here we are. I don't know. Ron and I, what began as a mentor-mentee-ship relationship has absolutely blossomed into a very wonderful friendship, and then even a collaborative, relationship as well. It's just been really cool to see his journey, getting his first feature made, and I feel really blessed that I was able to be a part of it.
And how did you find working on this project together, the different voices? Because, of course, you're each coming from a different perspective. You're at different points in your life. You have different things going on in your life. How did you work those voices together to get this product?
Yeah, the different voices is a really unique, I think, element of ADJUNCT, because what Ron did really, really well was he utilized the different folks in his life and kind of utilized their strong suits in bringing a team of collaborators together to bring ADJUNCT to life in a really special way. If he had, Ron, you wore multiple hats for certain things, but particularly in post, there were a handful of folks kind of giving their input, getting behind the editing tools and piecing the story together. And I think the vision kind of came together in a really special way because of that collaborative nature in the edit. Yeah.
Can I just add to that? So yeah, Ben is my former student and was my star student. And I should say this, actually, the character of Leo is loosely based on Benjamin. And so, for me, it was Andrew, the producer, really pushing me once we made the proof of concept to we need to make this feature. We need to push this forward. And, interesting thing is Benjamin also made his feature called Riley. And so prior to us making ADJUNCT, he sent me the script, and I encouraged him strongly to make his feature. I shot my proof of concept, and I was very much, unsure if I was going to make the feature. And Ben was telling me, you got to make your feature. And I was just like, wow, my student is encouraging me to make my feature. And so it's really these guys pushing me and getting behind me. And again, as Benjamin mentioned, we edited it together. It's Andrew edited some scenes, I edited some scenes, and Ben came in and started editing with me. And it was the three of us just powering through the post process, which can just be a grind. And yeah, it's just this really wonderful team of friends and collaborators coming together to make this movie, and yeah, we're excited.
Well, and as the master who has new masters following now, because they're no longer the student, they've become the teacher, what is one piece of advice other than write what you know, but for doing a project, a short, a feature, what is one piece of advice you wish everyone would know when they're going into it?
That's a good question. For me, it's like I've been doing this for a really, really long time, and it's like I always tell people, like, you can talk about filmmaking forever, but you got to just go make something. Even if it's not good, you got to make it. And for me, I was okay making some shorts, but I was always very scared to make my feature. And frankly, like, I'm a little older than Benjamin here, just a little bit older. And so, it was one of those things where I saw Ben doing, taking my advice and doing it, and then I was just like, and Ben said to me, actually, he goes, I'm giving you the same advice, you got to do it. And I was just like, you're right. And so, the advice I give, you can give advice, but sometimes it's hard to take your own advice. And this was a very hard process for me, I'm not gonna lie, and wearing all those hats and doing all that, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, you gotta make your film, and you gotta just, whether it's good or bad, you just gotta lean into it.
Well, I, for one, am very pleased you made this piece and you made it into a feature. I truly did enjoy it. And I did enjoy seeing some campus shots of any university in Southern California being used. But for kids looking at colleges, note that is Southern California with that beautiful weather. It's not New York. It's not that pretty up north.
Yes.
For those watching at home, how can they follow you? Do you have projects coming up you'd like to mention that are pending? What socials do you want out there for our audience to have?
Yeah, sure. I'm on Instagram, Ronster Film, and I'm going to let these guys share their socials. I'll start here.
I'm not on social, but I will say we have created a Letterboxd. I really love Letterboxd and what it does for the indie film community. So we would appreciate if you do see it or you find it later, if you could give it a rating or a boost, or a review, or share it, put it on a list so other people can check it out in the future. That would mean a lot.
I would just add to that real quick. IMDb is, I think, just a great resource. So yeah, obviously, if people can rate it on IMDb, on Letterboxd, I think those are for indie filmmakers, those are really important things if you love the movie to help champion that film.
I will also mention Letterboxd. Letterboxd reviews are a wonderful tool for indie filmmakers to kind of get the word out with their movies. So please leave us a review on Letterboxd if you have a chance to see the film. And then you can follow my production company on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at Windsor Film Co. WINDSOR Film Co.
Thank you again so much, and enjoy your trip here in Bentonville.